Okay, hello. Welcome back to Believe You Are a Good Mom. I am here with a new friend, Angela Adams. I feel like we're besties already, even though we've only just chatted it up today. So she is also a life coach and she helps her clients with anxiety specifically. Is that right? I'll
Yes,
just let
that is.
you introduce yourself and tell me all about who you coach and about your family and whatever
Oh,
you want to
okay,
share.
great. All right. Well, I'm Angela Adams. I am a wife, a mother of four, and a grandmother of four. And I have dealt with anxiety for most of my life. I'm 54 years old, and I think my first recollection of having anxiety, a real anxiety, not attack, but just grappled with anxiety, was when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
And I remember lying in bed, worried about all night that I somehow missed a homework assignment due the next day. And and I've been dealing with anxiety ever since. So I decided when I um, first started on life coaching, I started going down another route. I thought, empty nester because that's where I'm at. But my real passion is to help others understand that their anxiety does not define who they are and that they can actually put a pause on their anxiety and really ultimately embrace their entire life, learn how to love their life and thrive despite dealing with anxiety. And there are tools and ways, and I just wanted to shout from the rooftops that it doesn't have to manage you. You can actually manage anxiety when it comes up. And through all the tools that I've learned through life coaching, I have to tell you that it's very rare now that I have those intense anxiety
Oh, wow.
moments.
That's awesome.
So, and that's what I wanted. That's really what I want to share.
Yeah. I think it's fun that most of us as life coaches, that's what we do. What our mess was is now our message.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And I think it's because we just have that inherent desire
helped
to
me
just
so
help,
much. I want to help other people
right?
who are struggling with
Exactly.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And I did. It took me a little while because, like I say, I was really focused on, the empty nester because that's where I was at the time. That's where I am
Hmm.
right now. And there's a whole lot, but there's a lot of anxiety that goes on with that.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking about it one day and thinking, okay, what is it that I'm most passionate about? And I'm most passionate, obviously my faith, my family, but helping others navigate anxiety.
Yeah.
And that is really what I'm so passionate about. Do
Well,
I have
that,
all the answers? No, but
no.
I'm still learning but I just love to share everything that I've learned.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. And I love what you just said, faith, family, and anxiety. I think I'll title our episode that.
I love
So,
it.
tell us about your family and then we'll delve in deep to the faith part. Sorry.
Okay.
Spoke on my
So my husband and I have been married for 35 years. And if you ask my kids, we met in nursery, but we didn't.
nice.
No, 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 no. We met when I was 14 and he was 17.
That's basically nursery, right?
Yeah, it's basically nursery, right? And it was just kind of one of those things that just we met. We started dating when I turned 16. We didn't live in the same, we lived kind of in the same area. We lived about an hour apart.
Hmm.
And so I knew he was a keeper because I lived in the mountains. He lived in the valley. And in order to date me, he would come up, he would drive the hour up to pick me up. We would go back down into the
Oh, wow.
valley because that's where everything was,
Hmm.
that we could do. And then he would drive me back up and then he would drive back home. So
So
I knew he was
service
a
is your love
keeper.
language, right?
I'm telling you, well, there's
One
a
of them.
lot of love languages,
Yeah,
but
I know. We don't need to get into that.
but anyway, so we've been married for 35 years. We have four amazing adult children, our daughter, and then three boys. And our daughter is married and has four boys of her own.
Oh, wow.
And she lives out of state with my awesome son-in-law and my four grandkids that are 9, 7, 5, and 2.
Fun.
So, and I can't spend enough time with them, but unfortunately they're
Yeah.
not they're not close
It's
enough.
funny how
Yeah.
seasons of life work. I think about this a lot because hold on just a sec. Because your daughter is in the season of life I'm in, right? With the
Yes.
9, 7, 5, or who knows how old they are. They change all the time.
Yeah.
And it's so much. Like the moms of young kids, we have so much going on. And like this, oh my goodness, how many interruptions are we gonna hold on just a sec? Okay, are we still rolling? Okay. So the thing I was saying about it
So
so much.
much.
Oh yeah, so
Yes.
like the relief society teacher the other day gets up and she's talking about that, like when I was young and my kids and all the places and you're running and you're going and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden I have this whole big empty house to myself. And 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 so all of a sudden she's in a different season of life, and I'm like, it's so like all or nothing. It's like, can't we just like divide that up a little
Right.
bit? So I'm like, can I dump my kids at your big empty house sometime so that I can have an empty house? Anyway, I just think it's funny.
Oh, and I love that, I love that you brought that up because there are times, I love having the kids here, but I will tell you it's really fun in my stage because they can come and visit
Then you
and
send them
then
home.
they go home. So it is kind of the
You get
best of
both.
both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. It was like when the last one, and as your kids start leaving home, it's that gradual sense of loss that you go through each time. And I have my daughter, and then I have twin boys.
Oh wow.
And so when they left, they left together. So I went,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had our youngest 6 years later. And so he unfortunately had to be home with mom and dad for
Oh,
like
as an only child.
a long time, a
Mm-hmm.
long time. But, each time they left, there was that gradual loss. And then you get to this, when he left, it was like, okay, now
Now
what?
what? Yeah.
Now what am I going to do? And I remember I had a sister-in-law a few, oh gosh, years prior to Tyler leaving. She said, you know what? You're going to school and you're going to be so glad that you still have, school that you're working on because
Mm-hmm.
when he leaves, you'll have something to focus on.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about that. And I was so grateful that I did have something that I had established, that I did have a focus after he left. And then as we talked earlier, I went to work went to work full time, loved my job, loved my, bosses and everything, but just didn't like working full time. I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
having somebody tell me after
Yeah.
28 years
That's
of
a
being a
big
stay-at-home
adjustment.
mom
Mm-hmm.
and having my own schedule and being I could dictate my own. It was really a hard adjustment, but I knew that there was something more for me to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
So
just didn't know what.
yeah, one of the things I wanted to point out is that schooling you were doing was in family, marriage and family relations,
Yes,
childhood development, that sort of thing.
yes, yes,
Because the interest that I had in becoming a life coach was that I wanted to combine like parent coaching skills with life coaching skills with the atonement of Jesus Christ, all the skills that I'd been like that I use myself to try to
yes.
survive these littles. And so it's interesting to me. And you thought about even starting a preschool in your home, things like that. Your training was like from 0 to 5, like the littles. That's like
Yeah,
where, my listeners are at
right.
right now.
Yes.
And so, I don't know if there's something you want to share about that in relation to, just advice you'd have for these moms who are drowning in the littles.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I I look back and I think, okay, I wish I would have listened to this. Um, don't try to be super mom.
Good one.
Don't try to be super mom. Don't
Yeah.
try to, have the house perfect and everyone perfect. Just be you
Mhm.
and let your kids see you laugh. I wish when I look back, and I know we don't ever want to like dwell in the past, but when I look back, I think the best times I had as a young mom were the times that I could actually laugh with my kids. And I remember one specific time, and like I say, I dealt with anxiety on top of all of this. So with that anxiety, you have the perfectionism, you have, anyway, all that. So, I wanted to make sure everything was just right. And I remember one day in particular, was really stressful. I had put so many expectations on myself. And so drop the expectations.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know,
That's one of my
you know,
big things.
yes,
Yeah.
drop the expectation. I loved how yours is, let go of the war. Just don't. And I remember one time my expectations for that particular day were so extremely unattainable.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course I did this to myself. And I remember feeling so anxious. That anxiety was just welling up in me. And I remember looking out into my backyard and thinking, we just need to go outside. We just need to go outside. And so I stopped what we were doing, whatever I was doing. And I said, kids, everybody outside. They all looked at me like, okay, what are we doing? So we went outside and then we just played. And I realized that is exactly what I needed to do at that moment. The dishes, the cooking, whatever I was doing that was, I just I needed to go outside and be with my kids and just laugh.
Yeah.
Just laugh. And I don't know what we did. I think we played tag. I don't know if we played tag. I don't know what we did, and I realized then that, that laughing with your kids and just enjoying them. And I know it's hard to enjoy when you've got the the battle going, and but being able to bring laughter in, when spilled milk, it's just spilled milk. It can be cleaned up, but and it always happened, right? And in our house it was Kool-Aid. Always,
So
always
sticky.
on the freshly mopped
Of course.
floor.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why we never have a freshly mopped floor.
Right.
It makes it even worse when they mess it up.
Right. But of course, back in the day, I thought I had to have, anyway. And so I remember, at a point I was like, okay, I could really like scream and holler, or I could just get a rag and wash it up.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. And I remember, one time when my son dropped something on brand new carpet and I did lose it. And I remember when he looked at me, I realized, oh my goodness, was that really necessary? Because he felt so hurt, like he had done something so terribly wrong. It was carpet, for crying out
Yeah.
loud. And I will never forget that moment. So drop the expectations and laugh and let your kids see you sit.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Thank
So
you for validating me. Cause I always say to my kids, I just sat down. It's so funny because they'll say it. I'm like, yeah, and you're 3 and you can get back up. You're not 9 months pregnant,
Right. But I remember thinking, because I don't know, I know young moms, I remember being, you're constantly going,
Yeah.
right?
How about sit to eat your meal?
Oh
Sit down
my
and
goodness.
eat your meal.
Right?
And don't get back up when they ask for 400 things. You say, no, I
Right.
just sat down. I'm going to eat this meal.
That's right. That's right. And let them see you sit, because that tells them that you can take care, you can take a time out, you can sit down. Moms need their rest and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So first you have to not feel guilty about it yourself. You have to know that you got to take care of you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because the kids are not going to be like, oh, mom, you're sitting. That's so great. You're teaching me that you're taking care of yourself. No, they're
Oh,
going to
no,
be
no, no,
like,
no, no, no.
hello, I have 1,000 things I want you to do. Get up. And we have to have our
Right.
own backs that, oh, no, I'm an important part of this family too. And I got to
Right.
listen to my own body, and it's time for me to get some rest.
And another thing I learned too was to give myself my own timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And there
Yeah.
were a lot of times that, if I was ready to just blow or whatever, I would just go into my room and lock the door and just give myself a little time to just decompress.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to lie, I probably raised my voice a lot more than I wish I would have. In fact, my daughter said, yeah, you kind of yelled a lot. It's like,
And you are still a good
oh,
mom. And you
but you survived, right? You survived.
yeah. My mantra is I'm messing them up in all the perfect ways.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go. I love that.
She didn't just survive. She learned all the things she needs to know. Like, she doesn't
Right.
have to be perfect. I literally was saying that during one of my tirades the other day,
Yes.
as I'm like sweeping the floor and having one of my adult temper tantrums, I'm like, and you're welcome that I'm so imperfect that you'll never think that you need to be perfect. Like,
I love that. I love that because I think sometimes we can portray that, right?
mm-hmm.
And that just brings in all those expectations.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're unrealistic. And yes, I love how you just vocalize though.
I know.
You're welcome.
I know.
I'm teaching you how to not be perfect.
Yeah. I'm like, and I'm sorry I'm yelling at you right now, but that's the best I can do with my human brain and all of the like compassion thoughts I think for myself. Everything just comes out. Like, I used to think it was so knee jerk, like before I found coaching, I thought like there's no thought in between. Like when I found coaching and they were like, oh,
Right.
there's a thought that creates a feeling. I'm like, no, I'm just irritated all the time. There's no thought. There's just feelings. And then like, as I've slowed it down over the years, and found all the thoughts, I don't even have to dig very deep. I wonder what the thought is. Like, it's coming out my mouth.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking
Exactly.
I'm saying all the thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and I love that. I love that you give yourself permission to not be perfect. And it's
And because that grace for myself is for them too, because they just had some big
exactly
feeling and they're yelling ridiculous things that they don't mean. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's hard to be a human. And yeah, okay,
right.
go ahead
It's
and tell
one of
me
the
you hate
hardest.
me. I know you
Yeah.
don't hate me. You're going to feel bad about this later, but go ahead, and I'm saying a bunch of crazy stuff that I don't mean. And sorry, guys. And it's like, I can do it at the same time now, because I kind of see myself, but I'm still doing it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
wild ride.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up too, because I think as one of the things that I see in a lot of my clients is what creates the anxiety is those expectations, but then the lack of self-compassion,
Mm-hmm.
the beating yourself up over not showing up as the perfect mom or, making a mistake or, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
raising your voice or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then they start beating themselves up, and that just causes even more anxiety.
Yeah.
So, when you can drop it, when you can accept that being a human is hard and being a human mom
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of littles,
Yeah. It's literally,
that's a tough
yeah.
job.
Yeah. It's impossible to do what we think that we're supposed to be doing. Like, we think we're supposed to be kind and patient and loving all day. And what would love do? I'm like, you know what love would do is lose her mind right now. Because
What love would do would be going into my room,
yeah.
shutting my door, letting you guys fend for yourselves for
Except they
just a
don't. They
minute.
bang on the door.
Or
Because
the
they can
hands
feel
underneath
like,
the
oh my goodness. Because they can feel, I remember, oh my goodness. Because they like feel that separation, right? That I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
losing it. I'm like, get off of me. Like, and then they
Yep.
get even more clingy because they're like, oh no, they can feel the emotional
Right.
separation. Then I'm like, it's not you, it's me. I just need a minute. I promise. I'll
Right.
come back and hug you in just a sec. Yeah.
Yeah. I need a little space. Need a
Yeah.
little space. And there's nothing wrong with a little space.
Yeah. But whenever I need space, then they get even more clingy because
Yeah. So
they're
what do
making
you
that
do? What
space
do you
me.
do
Oh my goodness. I don't
when
know.
that happens?
It's a mess. Okay.
Do you ever give yourself time?
Yeah, for sure. And I always talk about how I go to the bathroom to process emotions
Oh yeah,
because like
because you
that's
can
the
lock the
door I
door.
can lock. So yeah, they can like bang on it and whatever, but I'm like, I need some privacy right now. And I'll even say, I'm telling you, like I say all the things. I'm like, I got to process some emotion here. I'm getting very frustrated, overwhelmed. It's time to go to school and nobody's listening to me. I just need a minute. you know?
And you know what, Emily? Oh my gosh, did you just hear what you just taught your kids?
Yeah. And that's why I do
I
that because I
love
love.
that. I love that because obviously with my niche, we do a lot of how to feel those emotions, how to really allow for those emotions. And and that's a tough thing for
Yeah.
clients who think that they have to like hold it inside and put on this, brave
Mhm.
face or whatever. But I think the best thing we can do for our kids is to help them understand how to
To be a
process
human.
emotion, how to be a human, and
Mhm.
how to, because I just got done giving a presentation. And one of the things that I really wanted to zero in on was, we came to Earth not to feel good all the time,
Mhm.
right? We came to Earth to learn how to feel. And why?
Mhm.
Why do we have to learn how to feel? It's because that's what that's what creates that empathy, that compassion, that charity. I mean,
Mhm.
if you think about it, I was thinking about, Christ came and he had to feel everything, right? He felt it all.
Mhm.
He felt disappointed when his disciples, lacked the faith when they were on the boat and
Mhm.
they thought they were going to drown. And, he, he was disappointed in that. He felt sadness. He felt compassion. He felt, you know, betrayed. He felt all of these feelings. And so he showed us how to feel them. And I think we get so scared of our emotions. If we
Yeah,
just
and
understand,
we always say we came to earth to get a body. And
right,
what's more body than our emotions? Like our emotions give us
right,
the feeling that we feel in our body. And so there's something about emotions and this earth life that's the the point, you
right.
know?
That is the point. That
Yeah.
is the point. And to learn how to feel, to really feel. And and I think we don't like sometimes when we get those crazy emotions that we just don't like to feel and
Mhm.
we get scared. We just want to run. We just want to, you know, do anything we can to not feel them. But if we just realize that our body is created to feel, it
Mhm.
knows what to do
To
with
do
it.
with it. Mhm.
It totally knows what to do with it. And I think one of the big aha moments for me in all of this was just that concept of learning how to allow my emotions, how to really process my emotion.
Yeah.
And
And I
it's like
always say that
magic.
it's yeah, and that it's kind of like how they teach about intuitive eating, that like babies already know like when they're full and when to stop and whatever. And
Yes.
then we kind of wreck that trying to like feed them on a clock or or finish your plate or whatever. And
Right.
so if we can get back to, and that's what I always say about kids is that they have these crazy big emotions, but if you just let them feel their feelings, let them handle it, they know their bodies know what to do with them. It's us that are teaching them to stuff them. I don't want to hear that whining right now. Like ask me nicely, all the things that I say like 1,000 times a day. Like I'm as guilty as anybody,
Right.
but it's because I can't handle the whining. So I'm like, just stop. And then they're like, but I'm
Right.
feeling something. I need to whine about it. Like they're not really saying that, but
Right.
and it's
Right.
like
And they're
if I
feeling
can just
something.
let them feel their feels through, and that's why kids get over things so fast because their bodies still know what to do with them, but we just hang on to it and we resist it and we
Yeah, because we
amplify
think,
it and
yes, and we think that negative emotion is wrong.
mhm.
And that's what I love we think negative emotion is bad.
Yeah. And so one of the things I talk about all the time is that you are a good mom. You're not your feelings, right? So I feel
Yes.
frustrated. I'm not frustrated. Like frustration is not a thing that I am. Like I am a good mom. And I also do things that is not who I am. And so, yeah, I yelled at my kid this morning. That doesn't mean I'm not a good mom anymore. That means that I'm a human mom that yelled at her kids this morning, and I am a good mom. And the reason why that, oh, I had another light bulb right when you're talking, and then I lost it. Oh, because we think that we need to be good, right? So,
Yeah.
like yesterday, I was totally in a state, and then someone calls me, and I wasn't particularly like so nice. And so my husband was like, can you be nice? But like I can't be so like I can't do it's just pretending. It's like, no, we don't want to act out all our emotions. No, it's not appropriate to hit your sister when you're frustrated. Like we'll figure out other things to do with your emotions to process them without acting them out. And same with me. I'm trying to figure that myself. Like I'm so frustrated. I'm like yelling at everybody and doing all the things. And it's like, but when you focus just on the action line, like be nice, get along, stop hitting, like to myself and to my kids, right? Then I'm just pretending because the A line is not congruent with the thought and feeling that's driving it. So that's
Right.
where I think a lot of the anxiety comes too, is that like we're pretending to be perfect. We're going through the motions. We're just fake because we're like fake nice to everybody because we think a mom's supposed to be nice, but kids can like feel it. They're like, why is mom being weird? Like she's smiling, but
She's
like I think I don't know what's going on. I'm like,
ready to
my kids
blow.
don't have that problem. Like they know how I'm feeling. And yeah, I do need to like figure out how to process it before I take it out on them for sure. But clearly that's like a
Right.
lifelong lesson I need to
Right.
learn because I'm for sure not perfect at this. But anyway,
Well, and
yeah,
that's the beauty of it. We get to practice over and over again,
yeah,
right? We get to
forever.
practice over and over again. And, something that you just said, we have the action line, be nice. I remember when I was a teenager and my dad looked at me and says, "You just need to relax."
Yeah, my dad always told me that too.
And I was like, "Well," and I remember one specific, and I remember where I was standing, and I remember when he said it, and I know that my anxiety was just through the roof because I was the classic example of distracting myself from feeling it. So I just piled on as much, I just kept busy.
Mm,
That was my distraction, just kept busy. So I just piled more and more on. And I remember him looking at me and says, "And you just need to relax." And I remember looking at him and said, "Dad, I don't know how." I didn't know how to process what was happening.
mm-hmm,
I had no idea. And he looked at me, and I just remember him looking at me like, "I don't know how to help you."
mm-hmm,
And I think that to me is what the whole, processing, the whole model, the how. It's the
mm-hmm,
how. It's the what's causing it, and let's feel it. Let me teach you how to feel it. Um, and it's
my dad,
amazing.
my dad always said, you need to learn how to relax. So that's funny.
So teach me.
He said you need to relax,
Nobody
and you're
knew
like,
how
I
to
don't know how.
teach.
Yeah, so I tell him now all the time. I'm like, I finally learned how to relax. This life coaching
I
thing.
love it. I love that, and that's how I feel. I feel like because I heard Brooke Castillo say this all the time that she wakes up with anxiety
Mhm,
almost every day. And and that's one thing that, when I heard her say that, I was like, "Oh, yes, finally somebody
mhm,
gets me." And I actually do. There's a lot of mornings where I'll wake up and I can already feel that anxiety. But now I know how
mhm,
to process it. Now I
mhm,
know how to recognize it and go through that processing. And then it's like, wow, it's pretty much gone. Sometimes it'll stick around, but it's not intense like it used to be.
mhm.
So, yeah, you are not your anxiety. You are
Yeah.
not, I loved what you said too. I'm not my emotion.
Mhm. I'm just feeling something.
Feeling
So
something. And I think
let's,
moms do that. If moms can teach their kids that it's okay to feel it and teach them how to feel it,
yeah. And the first step is that the mom needs to believe that herself.
understand how to do it
Yeah. No, like
herself.
it's
And
okay to feel it, and it's okay for your
yes,
kids to feel it, and feelings are not an emergency we need to fix. I would say that.
Right. They're
And
just an
so it's not a
emotion. They're
problem
just
we need to fix. I definitely remind myself of this 1,000 times a day because, man, when those kids are pitching a fit, it's like so annoying. I just want them to stop so that I'm not so annoyed. But I'm like, they need to feel their feels. It's not a problem. And yeah, the anxiety thing, they say this, but it's really the thing is that like you as a parent cannot get anxious about their anxiety. So if my daughter is like, I don't want to go to school, the kids are gonna this and that and the other and all the things, and I'm like, I don't even like want to say the word anxiety because I feel like as soon as I tell her that,
it's
it's like
such a
going to be a
buzzword right
label
now,
that she's going to be
right?
like stuck in that box.
Yes.
So I'm like, you're feeling nervous right now, and that's totally fine. You feel nervous because you think that the kids are going to whatever, but the kids aren't doing that. You can imagine something else. Like I try to kind of coach her, you know, but she's in a spin. Like she's literally like feeling anxiety. Her brain is offline. Like she's
Mhm.
high emotion. She just needs to feel the feeling,
Do
you
you
know?
do you have her
So
describe it to you? Do you have her, tell me what you're feeling. Tell me, where are you feeling it? What does it feel like? What is it feeling like? Have you ever
yeah.
done that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I kind of am like sitting there trying all the things, you know, like
Yeah.
if my son is whatever spinning out or what, I'm like, it's okay, buddy. Just feel it. Just feel it. Like, okay. And how does it? And I try that and he's like, this isn't working, you know? And so I'm like, okay, fine. Then I go back to myself. Like that is my big thing is like you manage yourself in
Yes.
order to, and so I'm like, okay, now I'm getting all wrapped up in like I'm getting annoyed that he's crying. Okay, I need to just process my own annoyance, you know, and not be like trying to get him to stop. Like, let me try all these techniques I've learned to get him to stop so that I can feel better. I'm like, no, I can make myself feel better. And
Right.
his body knows how to process it himself. I'm going to trust his intuitive processing that I haven't hopefully screwed up too bad yet, you know, and
Right.
then just
Right.
work on myself. And then when I'm back to regulated, then I can kind of try to help him regulate as well.
Exactly. And I think as a mom, I remember thinking I have to take care of everybody else. Make sure everybody else is okay before
Mhm.
I take care of me. And I
Mhm.
think you just hit on something super important, that it's okay to take care of you, to regulate,
And
to
you have
take a
to. It's
step
the
back.
it's the oxygen mask. Like fill your own
Yes,
cup
it's
first so
that.
that you have something to pour, all
Yes,
those things, you know?
yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
yes. So I think to all the young moms out there, you guys are rock stars. In my book, you are rock stars because you're doing it. You are in the thick of it. And just allowing yourself to be a human mom,
Mhm.
to just be, and I I would probably venture to say that there is not one mom out there that doesn't say, I want to be the best mom I can be.
Mhm.
I'm sure every mom wants to do the best. And when you can really, okay, today was enough. Yeah, okay, I raised my voice or whatever. Okay. All right. I get to practice again tomorrow.
Mhm.
I get to practice again tomorrow. Everybody's alive.
Yeah. And they're
Everybody's
gonna go
safe.
to sleep and their sinews are gonna get pruned. That's what I
Yes.
realized. I'm like, we
Yes.
catastrophize it like we screw them up, you know?
Yes.
But
Oh my goodness.
literally, like
Catastrophizing.
the brain connections that our brain has, those neural pathways, like it's doing it repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly that builds the pathway. And so it's like,
Yes.
yeah, you lost your temper today. Like that'll probably just get pruned. That's why kids can forgive so easily. Again, their body is new and knows what it's doing. And when you beat yourself up for it, you can't even sleep that night. You're up all night beating yourself up. Then the next day, are you in a place to like be kind and loving or whatever? No. So you
No.
keep doing it because you're stuck in the spiral.
And I
And
guarantee your kids have forgotten all about it.
yeah, exactly. I know all the time. I'm like, sorry about earlier, buddy. Wait, what happened
What
earlier?
happened?
Like, never mind. Never mind. I'm not bringing
What?
it up again. If you forgot, let's leave it at that. So yeah,
That is great.
like when we believe that we are a good mom and we do a bunch of stuff that's not so great, then we forgive ourselves easier and then we can like
Yes.
try again without all the guilt and shame
Yes.
piled on top.
Yes, because when you have those expectations that you have to be the perfect mom, you have to be, and when you're not,
Yeah.
it's like you're catastrophizing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Because literally, like like you just said, we just want to be the best mom we can be. Why?
Yeah.
Because we want our kids to still love us when they're grown up. Like we're trying not to like ruin the relationship so bad that we can hang out with their grandkids someday. Like if we really look at like why we want to be the best mom,
Mhm.
like sorry kid, you got a human mom and you're a human too, and I hope you
Right.
forgive me and I forgive myself and I forgive you, and I'm modeling that, so hopefully you'll forgive me someday too. It's like that's
Yes.
the best I can do.
And you know what? I remember when, there are several times that my daughter will call and say, "Mom, how did you do it? How did
Mhm.
you do this? Help, mom." And it's like, oh, okay. For me, um, it gives me a chance to say, I didn't.
Mhm.
I messed up, you know, but also, yeah, motherhood is hard. It's probably the hardest job on the planet,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And
And
what
it's
other
not
job do you go to and expect to be perfect? Like,
exactly,
yeah. And so maybe some of
exactly.
us understand that that's an unrealistic expectation to be perfect, but like you even said, like we just want to be the best mom we can be. Like, how does that thought feel?
Well,
Like
and
for me,
that's
it
the
feels
thing because
disheartening because I'm like, I'm never going to achieve.
I'm never going to be enough, right?
Yeah.
I'm never
Yeah.
going to be enough. And
Exactly.
there's that
So that's why I
be
believe that I am
enough.
already. It's
Yes.
not some out there thing that I'm trying to get to. Like I already am. And so that's off the
Yes.
table. Like I don't have to prove to myself or to anybody else that I'm a good mom. And so my kids look terrible because that's just not a fight I'm willing to pick. Their hair is
Well,
not brushed. Like,
I love I love a thought that I heard. I am the perfect mom for my children.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Perfectly
love that.
imperfect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's one of my favorite. I'm perfectly imperfect.
yeah. That I'm messing them up in all the right ways.
That's right.
Because God
That's
knows
right.
that He gave you the specific kids for your specific temperament, for their specific temperament. And He knows that that's a bombshell going off. And
He
that that's
put
the
us all
whole
together.
point is to learn.
Yes. Well, and and I've always said, okay, God gave us families to learn how to love,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
learn true charity. Because, if you think about, okay, charity is patient, is kind, is
Mhm.
da 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 da. da. Where else, where
Is
else
that
are you
tested?
going to be tested to the brink
Yeah.
to learn
Yeah, because again, any other
that?
job, you go to your job and you know there's an end time. You come home at
Yes.
some point. So you can white knuckle it and be nice to people all day long because you know you don't
Yes.
have to go home and like see them all night through the night. Their diabetes monitors are going off and you have to deal with that.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
newborns are waking up in the night. Like it's a literal 24/7 job.
it
And
is.
so to learn to love the people that you're up in their face all day and all night and yeah, that's the real deal. It's easy to
And
like be
yeah.
nice to your neighbors or the people in your ward or whatever because you see them for how long. You can like
Mhm.
you can pretend that long, but you can't pretend at home. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You can put up a good show.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, do we really want to? No.
Yeah.
Because then, but, and something that I learned and and I love what you're doing, is to allow yourself to do the things that you want to do. Now,
Mhm.
granted, I think there's a balance, and I
Mhm.
really believe that, you can't go, you've got to learn how to balance everything in your life, which, sometimes it's not going to be a perfect balance.
Yeah.
There's always going to be, this, but taking the time to continue to develop you and your interest and who you are,
Mhm.
I think does so much for your children. And when you don't, again, you're going to build up, that
Resentment.
resentment, that anxiety, that, you know, but teaching your kids that, hey, there's more to me than taking
a
care of
chauffeur and a
you.
cook
Yes,
and
the
a cleaner
chauffeur, the
and
cook,
a
the doctor, the
laundrier.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the
The
maid,
maid. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To show your kids that there is more, I have talents, I have gifts, I have interests,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Yep.
I loved what you told me earlier. You're in the thick of it. You are
Mhm.
a life coach in the thick of it.
Yep.
I don't know that I could have done that, to be honest with you. Probably not. It's just, but I think, but you're doing something that you love to do,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
and
what I
you're
tell
bringing,
people. It's my me time, you know?
yes,
So, yeah,
and you're connecting with all the other moms
I
out
know.
there
So fun.
that are in the
Well,
thick of it.
speaking of, so tell people how they can connect with you, that everyone's in love with you now.
All right. Well, I don't know about that, but
Or anyone who's struggling with anxiety wants to
anxiety,
learn
and
more
I
about
think
how to feel it, not resist it, how to
right,
the
right.
things.
That's my big thing. AngelaAdamsCoaching.com.
Mhm.
I also have a weekly podcast that comes out every Tuesday called Embrace It All,
It's so good.
because I really want you to know that you can embrace all of it, no matter what stage of life you're in. We can really embrace all of it.
Yeah, because the
And
alternative to embracing it is resisting it, and that makes it worse.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it took me so many years to embrace even the fact that I deal with anxiety.
Hmm.
It doesn't define who I am,
Hmm.
but I deal with it. And it's okay. And now I've learned that, you know what? That's part of it's almost a gift. Well, no, it is a gift.
Hmm.
I'm going to say it's a gift that I've been given. And I didn't used to think that. I used to
Hmm.
think it was a curse,
Hmm.
and if I could just get rid of it, then
Yeah.
life would be good. But now I'm learning that it is a gift and that I can actually embrace it.
Yeah. That's so good.
So,
And that's the case with anything we're struggling with. Like I used to be in this very tight box of I'm impatient, like I
yes,
am. I thought I was impatient. Like that's just who I was.
right. That was your identity.
Yeah. And so now I know that sometimes I feel impatient. It's just a feeling, right? And
Yes,
embracing that actually like I'm here to learn and grow and develop and I have to have these like you can call them weaknesses or flaws or whatever, but if you look at them as a gift, then maybe how do
right,
you feel when you think of it as a gift versus thinking of it as a flaw? I have these
right. This is a
human
gift for me
weaknesses
to,
that I have to
yeah.
overcome. Like I don't need to overcome it. I just need to embrace it and figure out
That,
how to live with it.
yes. And that was probably my biggest aha moment was, look, this isn't going to be something that I'm going to overcome in
Yeah.
this life, at least in this life, right? So what can I learn from it? How can I embrace it? And that's what I'm doing.
Hmm.
That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, and we all think we want to fix our kids, right? So we can embrace whatever package they come in too, So if
Yeah,
she's feeling anxiety, I'm like very over it right now. I'm like, she won't stay at a birthday party without me staying with her. And then yesterday's we were only there for like 2 minutes because she was done. It's like, well, yeah, that's that's where she's at. That's who she is. And to embrace it
right,
instead of resist it. Oh my goodness.
right.
So this was so fun. We could geek out on this all day, of course.
I know we can, right? We could probably talk for hours.
Yeah, which I think we might have. And my husband's trying to get a hold of me. So,
All right.
all right, Angela, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. And
All right. Thanks, Emily.